CTV News with Carlyle Fiset.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. A local business is getting a major cash injection from the federal government. It's part of a broad investment push in the military sector, with the defense minister on site in Ingersoll for today's announcement. Jerry Dewan has more on the hundreds of millions of dollars provided and what the money will be used for.
Defense Minister David McGuinty toured IMT Precision in Ingersoll before announcing an additional $1.4 billion for the recently created Canadian Defense Industry Resilience Program. Part of that investment will allow IMT Precision to expand operations.
Through this program, IMT Precision will receive up to $306.4 million to build a new facility producing metal shells for 155mm artillery projectiles.
IMT Precision does advanced CNC machining for a number of industries, including the auto sector, aerospace, and defense. Last spring, they cut the ribbon on a 90,000-foot expansion, allowing the company to increase production of shells for the U.S. military. The new facility will increase production for the Canadian military.
Canada needs to be prepared for the realities of today's world, and IMT is ready to do its part to help re-equip the Canadian Armed Forces, our partners in NATO, and other allies with the weapons they need to do their jobs safely and effectively.
McGuinty says the government is ensuring that the Canadian Armed Forces have reliable, timely access to the tools they need to do their jobs.
These are critical components used by our armed forces and our allies, and in high demand globally, including in Ukraine or even including in Latvia, where we have 3,000 forward deployed members of the Canadian Armed Forces, where Canada is commanding a 14-nation multinational brigade.
IMT hasn't identified where the new facility will be located.
Site selection is actually under review. We have not established yet where that will be located, but we expect to have more to say on that in a few weeks.
Hacking says IMT Precision currently has just over 500 employees, and the new facility will bring an additional 300 staffers. The rest of the government's $1.4 billion investment will go to General Dynamics operations in Quebec. In Ingersoll, Jerry Dewan, CTV News.
A month and a half after welcoming its first residents, London's mayor is touting the micro-modular shelter south of the city as a success so far. With more on the preliminary results from the first few weeks, here's Daryl Newcomb.
An incredible change. We actually visibly see it in folks.
The manager of City Hall's Coordinated Informed Response Team is already witnessing the impact the new micro-modular shelter for homeless Londoners is having on the lives of its 69 residents, as well as some core area neighborhoods. Just 6 weeks since welcoming its first residents, Mayor Josh Morgan is pleased with the preliminary feedback.
The micro-modular shelter is working. People are finding indoor spaces. Still certainly people who are outdoors, but a big decline in the numbers of both encampments and people living unsheltered through the winter.
One of the areas of the city that's seen the most benefit is here in Watson Street Park. At this time last year, there were many encampments requiring a lot of municipal support. But today, we could find only a single encampment, and there is no indication anyone had been there for quite some time.
Some of that is the harsh winter we've just experienced, but we have a large number of individuals who were referred to through coordinated access that used to be residing in Watson Street Park that no longer do. I think that number is at 25.
They're getting support from Ontario Works, ODSP, they're getting housing stability support, they're getting medical support, and they're being put on a pathway into housing.
Just 3 people have left the community, 1 for more appropriate medical care and 2 for breaching the rules. There was a small fire earlier this month inside a cabin, but it's being repaired. And the mayor says that the remote location south of the 401 hasn't been an issue thus far.
There were a number of individuals on the first day, almost all of them, who took us up on the transportation option to move to other places in the city. By the end of the first week, just 1 or 2 took us up on that. They realized that there's services there, they're enjoying their time there.
The micro-modular shelter has 10 double occupancy cabins for couples, as well as the ability for people to keep their pets. 9 dogs and 2 cats are currently part of the community and receive regular visits from London Animal Care and Control.
Now we can actually see people leave the situation that they're currently residing in and having hope.
The mayor says it's too early to determine the next steps for the shelter, but if it continues to prove successful, he'd like to see the provincial government partner with the city. Daryl Newcomb, CTV News.
Officials at London Health Sciences Centre are reporting a nearly 20% decrease in surgical wait times. As Lauren Stallone reports, that comes after years of trying to clear a pandemic-era backlog.
London Health Sciences Centre is sharing an update on surgery wait times.
We're doing more surgeries, training more staff, and adding more space, using new funding to reduce wait times for our community.
LHSC says as of February, it has reduced its number of patients waiting for surgeries by 19% compared to pre-pandemic levels.
That improvement didn't happen by accident. It's come from focused work, adding operating room time for priority areas like cancer, brain, spine, and pediatric cases.
LHSC says it has reduced its surgical wait list by increasing surgical capacity.
Since 2023-24, LHSC has added an average of 2,000 operating room hours across our Victoria, Children's, and University hospitals.
Officials say they plan to expand surgical capacity at the Nazem Kadri Surgical Center.
What this does in plain terms is we'll move lower complexity surgeries into a dedicated space. And that frees up space at our main campuses for surgeries that could only be done there, like our complex spine, like our cancer cases.
Hospital Supervisor David Mouche says while LHSC will continue to work to reduce wait times, support from its regional partners is crucial.
Them being able to continue to increase their capacity and work on their wait times helps the whole system and helps LHSC as well get to the more critical cases.
Lauren Stallone, CTV News.
Provincial police say they arrested a suspect today after a carjacking and police chase this afternoon across Midwestern Ontario.
It looks like the two vehicles made contact at some point. Thankfully, our officer's not injured, and I understand that the individual that was driving, the suspect, is being checked out at the local hospital as well, and we're waiting to hear what the result was for there.
According to police, the incident began in Lambton County, then later moved to Bayfield, where a suspect entered a home and demanded car keys, taking a vehicle. Police say they tracked the vehicle through multiple communities using an OPP helicopter. They say the suspect was taken to hospital as a precaution and now faces several charges across multiple jurisdictions.
I understand that Sarnia Police Service is involved, as well as Chatham-Kent Police Service, and now Huron County will have a long list of charges that will be laid against this individual.
London police say they arrested one person today through a hit-and-run investigation. According to police, they were called early this afternoon about an initial incident on 3rd Street, which led them to Dundas and Hale Street. Police say the driver who fled the scene was arrested and no injuries were reported. Bank of Canada officials say inflation is going back up, and it's a direct result of the war in the Middle East. With more from this morning's interest rate announcement, here's Annie Bergeron-Oliver.
It didn't take long for the war in Iran to boost the price at the pumps and kickstart an energy-driven consumer squeeze the Bank of Canada says is fueling inflation.
The issue for us is not really the immediate increase in inflation. We know that's going to happen. It's does that start to get generalized, start to spread, start to look more persistent.
The bank says it will work to make sure that doesn't happen, but warns the longer the war goes on, the wider the impacts on the economy that right now is weaker than the bank projected. Growth is slower, the job market is soft, and exports are lower than expected.
Normally, I think people would be thinking, well, you know, Canada needs some interest rate relief here. But once Mr. Trump started firing guns off in the Middle East, we knew that wasn't going to happen.
For now, the bank says the economy is being tugged in different directions by rising inflation and slowing growth. So it's taking a wait-and-see approach and holding steady at 2.25%.
Economic weakness combined with rising inflation is a dilemma for central banks. Increasing interest rates to slow inflation could further weaken the economy.
Economists say that decision makes sense, but they also warn global uncertainty will likely hurt consumers.
There's a lot of anxiety that's building about the anticipated inflation, and retailers are already going to be hiking their prices as they expect their costs to increase as these higher energy prices work their way through the supply chain.
The bank says it will be keeping a close eye not only on the war in Iran, but on the impact tariffs and U.S. trade are having on the Canadian economy. And if necessary, Tiff Macklem says the bank will act. Annie Bergeron-Oliver, CTV News, Ottawa.
The London Knights were in Guelph tonight, taking on the Storm.
I'm sure. Oh, my goodness. What a shot by Brown.
It was an offensive explosion for London in the second period. That was Ryan Brown's 22nd goal of the season, tied for the team lead now. 6 different Knights found the back of the net in this one. Final score, Knights 6, Storm 2. There are just 2 games left on the Knights' regular season schedule. Their penultimate match is Friday night when they host the Windsor Spitfires. Officials with an international animal rights group are demanding Wyerton Willie's permanent retirement, ending the use of a live groundhog in the annual weather prediction ceremony. With more, here's Scott Miller.
It's an early spring. For more than 7 decades, Wyerton Willie has helped break the doldrums of winter by playfully predicting Ontario's winter forecast. But PETA says this year should be the last prediction ceremony in Wyerton using a live groundhog.
With the passing of Willie, the time is now for the town of South Bruce Peninsula to set an example and show respect for all wildlife by ending this cruel tradition.
Following Wyerton Willie's death on March the 10th, PETA says now is the time to transition Wyerton's Groundhog Day prediction ceremony away from the use of a live groundhog towards more ethical options.
We hope they'll consider some humane alternatives, such as 3D holographic projections, an animatronic groundhog, or any other alternative that doesn't involve taking yet another live groundhog out of their natural environment to be used as a prop.
The town of South Bruce Peninsula declined to comment on PETA's most recent recommendation, but shortly following his death, town officials stressed how well Willie was cared for and how they were already starting the search for the next Wyerton Willie.
Willie has always been really well cared for and brings so much joy to residents and visitors alike. And while we're sad to say goodbye, we will be looking for a new weather prognosticator to continue this beloved tradition for years to come.
Wyerton has had many albino groundhogs perform prediction ceremony duties over the past 70 years. Groundhogs usually live 3 to 5 years in the wild, but do tend to live longer in captivity.
We hope that South Bruce Peninsula will consider setting an example and being the next town to make this positive, progressive change.
In Wyerton, Scott Miller, CTV News.
Still ahead, young people turned drug mules. The W5 investigation looking into teenagers in southwestern Ontario lured into trafficking rings and arrested overseas. Markets on both sides of the border were down today, impacted by the Iran war and crude oil prices rising. In Toronto, the TSX dropped 616 points. In New York, the Dow fell 768. The Nasdaq lost 327. The Canadian dollar fell, but just 0.04 of a cent. On commodity markets, gold is down $112 an ounce, while oil slipped 7 cents a barrel. Oil prices are rising higher in general as missile attacks rain down on Iran from American and Israeli forces. Heather Wright has the latest on the deepening conflict.
Overnight, Iran retaliated for the killing of its security chief, firing cluster warheads at central Israel, payloads that are harder to intercept as they disperse midair. Israeli officials say the attack killed 2 people and caused damage in multiple areas. Dubai was also attacked overnight and this morning, with alarms going off throughout the city. Officials here say the drones and missiles were all successfully intercepted. Speaking to British lawmakers, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says more than 200 military experts from Ukraine have been sent to the UAE, Qatar, and Saudi Arabia, sharing their expertise in fighting a drone war, something Ukraine has pioneered during its 4-year fight with Russia.
We do not want this terror of the Iranian regime against its neighbors to succeed.
The United States and Israel continued their campaign against Iran today. U.S. Central Command says it dropped bunker-busting bombs on Iranian sites near the Strait of Hormuz, while oil sites linked to Iran were reportedly hit by Israel. Iran also confirmed its intelligence minister was killed. The regime has vowed to respond by attacking energy sites in the Gulf, warning people to stay away from facilities in Saudi Arabia, the UAE, and Qatar. It's all leading to rising oil prices and uncertainty to how this conflict ends.
it's important to point out that once a war starts, you really can't control the direction it's going to go in.
Retired Major General Dennis Thompson says over the past 2.5 weeks, there has been a steady escalation of this conflict, which he believes has not reached its peak. He says the U.S. could still choose to hit Carlyle Island, where 90% of Iran's oil exports are shipped from, while Iran could go after desalination plants in the Gulf, cutting off a key source of fresh water.
I'm not convinced that there is a military solution to this, and they have to go the diplomatic route. If you keep killing the Iranian leadership, who are you going to negotiate with?
While Iran has allowed a few ships to pass through the Strait of Hormuz, it effectively remains closed. The UAE has said it is open to joining a U.S.-led effort to reopen the strait, but at this point, there is still no plan in place. Heather Wright, CTV News, Dubai.
Donald Trump's top intelligence officials testified publicly today for the first time since launching their onslaught. They were asked pointed questions about the president's claims and his reasoning for the war in Iran. With more on the responses, here's Joy Malbon.
Arriving at Dover for a dignified transfer, President Donald Trump honoring 6 service members killed in a refueling air crash as the U.S. military took new action in Iran, dropping multiple 5,000-pound bunker buster bombs targeting Iranian ammunition storage sites. As global oil prices skyrocket, Trump is determined to get the oil flowing through the Strait of Hormuz, with or without support from U.S. allies.
We don't need too much help, and we don't need any help, actually.
The president's top intelligence officials grilled on Capitol Hill over what evidence justified attacking Iran now.
Did you brief the president, if he starts a war of choice, that the likely result would be that Iran would strike adjacent Gulf nations and close the Strait of Hormuz?
I have not and won't divulge internal conversations.
Democrats are clearly frustrated. Asked if the president's strikes on Iran's nuclear sites in June obliterated the nuclear program, why go to war now?
Was it the assessment of the intelligence community that there was a, quote, imminent nuclear threat posed by the Iranian regime, yes or no?
Senator, the only person who can determine what is and is not an imminent threat is the president.
False. This is the worldwide.
Trump's intelligence director says it's not her job to determine what is an imminent threat to the homeland, as her chief of staff, Joe Kent, just resigned in protest, suggesting President Trump was duped into war, blaming Israel. And with Marines on the way to the Middle East, President Trump has yet to make a decision on sending U.S. forces into Iran to seize the country's remaining nuclear material. Joy Malbon, CTV News, Washington.
Hello, I'm meteorologist Gary Archibald for CTV News. We are still in the midst of a polar air mass, obviously a chilly one. Snow right across the heart of the Great Lakes. The lower Great Lakes seeing a lot more instability. And with this cold front, obviously windy conditions. There's a chance of some freezing drizzle along with mixed flurries, maybe even a spot of rain through the overnight. I'll break down what you need to know. It's all coming up with my forecast next.
Welcome back. Gary Archibald with me tonight. And Gary, we're talking an icy mix, the potential for that overnight. And would that impact the morning commute tomorrow?
That's a good question. Carlyle, hello again, sir. I think there's a chance of some freezing drizzle mixed in for the morning commute. So Thursday, just watch out. If it does come, computer models suggesting maybe just before dawn, sunrise Thursday morning. So most of us still tucked away. But for those who are early risers and working earlier than most, something to look out for. High +1 today, obviously below seasonal. It's been breezy, if not windy, across much of southern Ontario. And that low of -10 felt a lot colder, like -13 to -16 within the city limits. It's just been a chilly day. But good news is that spring on the calendar starts on Friday, so we can get mentally shifted towards a warming trend and thinking about flowers blooming and birds and bees and all those good things. Some flurries earlier today, flurries tonight and tomorrow morning. That mix probably just sliding by Lake St. Clair, closer to perhaps Chatham-Kent than Sarnia. But there is a rain component tomorrow, about a 30 to 40% chance we will see it. And why? Because there's going to be a shift in the wind profile. Instead of northerly and northwesterlies, which have brought snow, and there's still some tonight into early tomorrow morning, anywhere from a dusting to about 3 centimeters, we are looking at cloudy conditions and warm enough through even the late morning and afternoon to see some rain. It'll be windy through the midday. Late afternoon, we'll get up to about 7 degrees Celsius, and that would be 2 degrees above seasonal. So the temperatures are certainly headed in the right direction. Take a look at the 7-day forecast. Daily highs and lows projected for the great city of London. Again tomorrow, early pre-dawn. Might see an icy mix, warming up to 7, cloudy in the afternoon. Cloudiness continues for Friday, Saturday, and parts of Sunday. But look at those temperatures, 10, 12, and then 7. Then cooling off, sunny Monday, not bad, but rising up to 6, then 7, and might see another icy mix a week from now. Spring can be very unsettled with icy conditions, no doubt. Midwest looks at 2 centimeters projected through the overnight, and then some rain showers, warming up to double digits for the weekend. Saturday looks like a fair weather day. Sunday, a bit warmer but cloudy and a chance of showers. Much colder Monday into Tuesday, single digits, some sunshine to start things off next week. It's still a bit of a roller coaster ride, topsy-turvy, very unstable air mass, and this trend keeps on repeating itself. That's a look at your weather. Carlyle?
Thanks, Gary. A W5 investigation has uncovered an international crime syndicate luring young Canadians in southwestern Ontario into drug trafficking. As Avery Haynes reports, some of them are as young as teenagers, and 4 have now been arrested in Hong Kong in a matter of months.
19-year-old Jade from Cambridge, Ontario, faces life in a Hong Kong prison after customs agents found this inside her suitcase, 25 kilos of cocaine.
It knocks the breath out of you because this is your child.
Jade's mom, Nadiria, and dad, Gary, say their daughter was duped after answering a job posting for an international courier on Instagram.
She was excited, and I dealt with this guilt as a dad, why I didn't probe, why I didn't ask.
Our investigation reveals that Jade is one of 4 Canadians recently caught in Hong Kong with cocaine suitcases, a total of 100 kilos between them.
This is just the tip of the iceberg.
Prison chaplain Father John Wotherspoon is an internationally renowned advocate for drug mules in Hong Kong.
If we know of 4, there's probably maybe another dozen or so that we don't know about.
I traveled to Hong Kong with Jade's mother and visited each of the Canadians behind bars. I'm allowed just 15 minutes and can only take in scraps of paper and a pen.
There are some striking similarities in their stories, including the fact that they all gave the same name for the person who's working above their Canadian recruiter. Well, it's not really a name, it's punctuation, a period. He goes by Dot.
The DOT network is specifically targeting young people in the Kitchener and Waterloo area, where both 19-year-old Jade and another imprisoned Canadian, 20-year-old Omar, live.
I've heard stories and seen photos of people that said they have done it.
We're hiding their identity and calling them Lee, a person who claims to know dozens of young people who've made deliveries to Hong Kong.
So you believe that they're still sending people to Hong Kong?
I don't believe it, like I know it.
Lee was about to make a delivery, but it fell apart, triggering a flurry of threatening, encrypted messages from Dot.
He's like, you, like, f***ing kid, f***ing my shit up. Dot was also threatening to kill me, threatening to shoot up my house.
We are aware of a trend of some people being recruited through social media to transport drugs to other countries.
Waterloo Regional Police Staff Sergeant Ian Young heads up the drug squad and hopes this message will stop another cocaine suitcase from taking flight.
An opportunity that may seem like a golden opportunity may not necessarily be that. They're preying on people's innocence and trust.
Police say their investigation is a high-priority case and involves the RCMP and Canada Customs. Avery Haynes, CTV News.
Finally tonight, hockey teams from First Nations all over the province coming together in Toronto. With more on the Little Native Hockey League, here's Sean Leathong.
There are tiny players.
We're going to get the puck and score.
All the way to the biggest, with fans packing the arena. It's called the Little Native Hockey League, but words used to describe this event are anything but little.
It's grounded in culture. It brings all our communities together.
Pride of your people, who you are, where you come from.
The LNHL brings teams from First Nations from all across Ontario. Over 270 teams in 10 arenas come to Markham for this 4-day tournament. Gerard Pelche is an organizer and a former professional player who took part in the first LNHL as a kid back in 1971.
And it was really nice to represent my First Nations at the time. I remember that. I am playing for Wiki.
Wiki, or Wikwemekong First Nation on Manitoulin Island, has a team skating in yellow and purple. Girls playing in the oldest competitive division, and they embody this tradition.
I've been playing since I was really small, and I love it. It's like my favorite time of year.
Many players living elsewhere come here to join their First Nation team. The common lessons are teamwork, cooperation, and pride. After a win, Coach Ruby Trudeau from Wikwemekong is emotional.
I really want to say I'm proud of you all.
Because many of her players are in their final year. But when players graduate, there's plenty to take their place. At the rink next door, some U9 players are taking part in their first LNHL. Here from Brunswick House First Nation, 4 hours north of Sault Ste. Marie.
It's a good tournament and everyone scores and some people don't. Get the puck!
Coach Taylor Tangi played here as a kid, and now she's coaching her own kids along with her father and sister.
They work so hard, and their smiles say it all.
Sean Leathong, CTV News.
That's it for us. Thanks for watching. For all of us at CTV News London, I'm Carlyle Fiset. Have a good night.